When I was a little kid, there was this cupboard at our house. It was not a big one which is used to keep our clothes, but a small to medium sized one. And for some reason, it was always locked. I never saw my parents open it. Whether it was Monday, Tuesday or Sunday, no matter what day it was, the cupboard was always locked. So my curious Pokemon and Doraemon addicted brain came to the conclusion of, oh, this is a gateway to the different world. A world with different creatures and magic. A world full of mysteries where you can fly in a starry sky and see dragons during the stormy ones. Yes, as you can see, I was clearly the most popular 6-year-old, and this idea was reinforced in my brain when every now and then, only when the guest came along, my dad opened that cupboard. And that's when I thought, oh, we are not some average dudes. We are the gatekeepers of this sacred world. So one day late at night, when a mystery guest showed up, I knew today my dad was going to open up that cupboard and no way I was going to pass upon that opportunity. So I tactically snuck up on him when he was about to open that mystery cupboard. And that's when I saw that it had top of the shelf alcohol, old fashioned glasses and a bar kit. And also that mystery guest is an uncle of mine who used to live far away. And that's why I didn't know him. In conclusion, I was a stupid kid. But even now, that stupid kid is still there within me. I still find pleasure in itching that childlike stupid curiosity of trying to discover and learn about the world which far exceeds our imagination. Of course, I don't go breaking into someone's home thinking this cupboard is a gateway to Narnia. But I scratch that itch while watching anime, which have compelling characters and most importantly, a wonderful mesmerizing world, which is truly awesome. And today, we are talking about one such world which has refused to get out of my head all these years. The world of ancient Magus Bride. The ancient Magus Bride will leave you in awe during every single episode. This anime has every single thing you can dream about when it comes to fantasy setting, but at the same time, it has things which will far exceed your imagination. You will discover forest filled with fireflies where elves trick you and guide you to their home. The home of dragons, the powerful and omnipotent creatures who once ruled the world, but now they are facing extinction and they just want to peacefully live rest of their lives. We meet a vampire who fell in love with a human who cannot see her, but still she dedicates her rest of her life to watch over him. The kingdom of cats who live their daily life as someone's pet from a human's perspective, but actually they are protectors of that very family. And don't get it wrong, as much as this world is filled with mystical and beautiful things, there are also dark and disturbing things. From the serial killings of a maniac who performs gruesome experiments on humans by deceiving them as form of a research, to a lost knight who steals life force from anyone who he touches, or a creepy dude who has a fucking Renegan in his eye. I mean, if I discover a man with a Renegan and he looks like this, I'll be out of there so fast and so far that I will probably wind up in Sword Art Online, because I would rather be Klein than Obito. But at the end of the day, I will always come back to this fascinating magical world. Yes, magical, and that is the reason I love this show. If you take out the seasonal anime chart and filter it with fantasy and magic, you will get countless anime, or more appropriately, countless isekai which technically are in another world and do use magic, like this anime using fire magic, wind magic, summoning, healing, and the most popular magic, the bullshit which author pulls out right out of his ass. But we already know that. Even the world of fantasy, which is supposed to be something no one has experienced before, is somehow hard stuck in a medieval setting where slavery is okay, the buildings of the entire show were designed by a single architect, and the magic, which is technically supposed to be something out of this world, has become something we all have seen several times. The magic part of the fantasy has become so common that some fantasy shows have completely given up on explaining the world and the magic system just so they could focus on the plot and the characters. But no matter how good the story is or how interesting the characters are, the show will always feel stale. Like, even though I fucking love ReZero, during season 1 I was just hooked by Subaru's suffering and not the world, which looked pretty bland to be honest. And that's what's going on. This mystical power of this magical world, which honestly should make our jaws drop, has turned into a boring normal thing which we are tiringly accustomed to. It feels like the magic has lost its magic. But the ancient Magus Bride feels magical. We have a mystical forest of elves which is ruled by Queen Tits Anya, an order of white knights who carries the wind to change the seasons, or even the magical library. The scope of this world is unfathomable. The more you discover about this world, the less it feels like it. Every location gives us 4 answers and 14 questions. Like, why are these dragons so wise? Why don't they fear death? Why do they turn into a giant tree when they die? Or why is this guy the caretaker of the dragons? There is so much to discover here. But now, what if we tie this wonderful world with the story of a 15-year-old girl who has depression, abandonment issues, self-worth problems, and PTSD? A girl who is so broken that she does not care whether she is alive or dead. And moreover, you pair her up with a mage who is devoid of any and all emotions. And when you do that, by the looks of it, you get a goddamn masterpiece. The relationship between Chise and Elias is complicated to say the least. I mean, buying a 15-year-old girl for £500,000 to make her your apprentice and also declaring that she will be your future wife is pretty wild. But even though this relationship is a piping hot mess on so many levels, it is really wholesome when the show explores their characters and how they got here. And that is not done for just these two, but almost for every single character in the show. Whether be it Silky for why she never talks and never leaves the house, but cares for every single one of them. Or this dubious fairy who we think is trying to trick Chise, but we later find out why she's doing that. Or this man who refuses to remember who he is and is clinging to the past. Every single character story makes me feel things, like a lot of things, but the character who perfectly encapsulates my feelings on how a beautiful world combined with amazing characters will leave you mesmerized is none other than Nevin. Nevin is an old dragon who is on his deathbed. His eyes have gotten so weak to the point where he can barely open them. There is moss stuck on his body because he has no strength to even flap his wings, and that's why Chise is feeling sad for him. But this is where we find out that dragons do not fear death because they have accepted it ever since they were little. For them, it is just part of life, a stepping stone of a sort to something else, just like Black Panther.
In my culture, death is not the end. It's more of a stepping off point.
When these dragons die, they become this one massive tree to be the source of nutrition for nature. At first, when I heard these kids talking about dying like this,
僕らも死んだら木になったり苔になったり岩になるんだよね
I was like, what the fuck? Because recently I was about to get into a terrible accident, but thankfully I avoided it with my gamer reflexes. And even though the accident might not have killed me, but hey, there is always a possibility. So I was pretty shaken up by the events, especially when these kids talked about it like it is nothing. But that's when Nevin said something which gave it a different perspective.
私たちは人間のように死ぬことを恐れない。いつだって悔いのないよう生きられるだけ生きるものだから。
For some reason, by these words, I was moved and I kind of understood where he was coming from. But that was totally different for Chise, the girl who was broken, bruised, scarred, who was actually looking forward to what death feels like. She was not only feeling sad for Nevin, she was jealous. Instead of him, Chise wanted to experience death. And that's when Nevin says,
生きる者が死者を羨むものじゃない。
Not only he calls out, but he actively tries to show her that even though she has had hardships up until now and the only memories she can recall are painful, there is so much more to live for. And that's when we get this beautiful memory of Nevin soaring through the sky and showing Chise that there is so much more to life than she thought. Even though the times have been tough on her, things will eventually get better as she lives on, telling her you should accept death as it is a part of life, but no one should ever envy death or look for it. It is a truly beautiful message for some people who might wanna hear it during tough times, and along with the beautiful visual representation, that message will hit you right in the heart. And this is just one of the stories out of many which ancient Magus Bride tells you. That also brings me to how the show makes this wonderful mystical world believable. And that is the mystery aspect of it. The best way I can explain this is by taking One Piece as an example. The world of One Piece consists of different islands, and each island is guided by the lock pose. So every island we visit is like a different experience. We go from a desert kingdom which is suffering from drought to an island suffering from heavy floods. Whenever we visit those islands, we find out what creatures do these islands inhabit, what kind of people live here. Are there humans, giants, or is it completely abandoned? As we explore each and every island, we find out more and more things, some of which are explained and some of which are left up to our imagination. It is wired in our brain to explore the thing which is right in front of you and just jump to conclusion about something which you haven't experienced before. The same instinct that would cause a stupid kid to think that his cupboard as a gateway to the world of Pokemon. The ancient Magus Bride also does exactly that. Unlike most fantasies where we get that one guy who can give answers about everything and anything, we see this world with the eyes of Chise, who just like us is a complete noob about this magical world, allowing us to discover this world at our own speed. But we get a sense that even those who have lived in this world for centuries still are nowhere near understanding or completely exploring this mystical world. The world of ancient Magus Bride gives us a feeling that it has existed way before any of us got here and will continue to exist even after we are long gone, just like our own world. We will never be able to completely comprehend the mysteries of this world. We will never be able to experience everything this world has to offer. Hell, we won't even be able to exactly tell what the fuck happened before any of us got here. But rather, we could just experience this world to its fullest as it is now while we are still alive. And that is the real magic of the ancient Magus Bride.